want to see. You are going to want to see the show today. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I might let that rock for a minute. All right, let's get them started. Music going. All right. Come on time today. Like that, huh? Yeah.
Those of us that indulge in or commit intellectual violence don't do so for the pleasure of mental masturbation or ego digging. We do so because the chains of oppression in our people's minds are deep and difficult to remove.
Good morning, my children of the sun. Welcome to the Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM. Yes, indeed. I'm your host and third eye optometrist, Patrice Gibbs. Ready to get them started, ready to get your third eye open, ready to give you some education. That's right. I learned a lot this weekend. I'm going to pass it on. This is what we do. Before I do anything, let me get this disclaimer out the way. All right.
The views and opinions expressed on the Open Eye are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and do not reflect the policy or position of WHGE 95.3 FM nor our sponsor, the Delaware Center for Homeless Vets. Any content provided by Open Eye's hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. You know what? I'm going to start off with some history. That's no big... Wait a minute. It's not Black History Month. We're in Women History Month. Okay. How about some Black women history? Because I got something for you. And I'm going to tell you what. It's quite personal for me. And some Open Eye listeners may have heard this story, but I'm going to give it to you today. This is the story of the Cooper sisters. All right. Dorothy and Janet were hard-drinking, outspoken, streetwise, tough, proud Black women. Yes, indeed. They took no crap from anybody, and guess what? Nobody gave them any crap. Both grandmothers, the Cooper sisters, liked to party and gamble, but rarely missed the Sunday in church, and listened to Elijah Muhammad on the radio after church. They could be ornery and cantankerous and were subject to cuss your ass out. Dorothy and Janet were also known to be kind and nurturing. They were loved and respected in the neighborhood and were most definitely village queens. Admired for their knowledge of our history and for the militant stance they were unafraid to take, Dorothy and Janet Cooper had amazing street cred for grandmothers. A prime example would be the taxi cab incident. This took place in the early 70s. Dressed for an afternoon outing, the Cooper sisters decided to take a taxi. When the taxi arrived, the driver, who was white, took one look at the dark faces of his prospective passengers and moaned all N-words. Dorothy and Janet cussed the driver out and marched back in the house called the taxi company and demanded the driver's job. The dispatcher told them they would have to come to the office and lodge a formal complaint, which of course they did. And the manager of the taxi company issued the Cooper sisters an insincere apology and brushed them off. When they balked at this, Dorothy and Janet were threatened with arrest. This was the final straw. Dorothy Cooper warned the management of the taxi company that not only were taxis no longer welcome in the Hilltop area of Wilmington, but from that day forth, no taxis were allowed west of Broome Street. The taxi company management laughed off what they considered an empty threat. How could these 60-year-old grandmothers stop taxis from coming on the Hilltop? That evening, the Cooper sisters sat on the front porch of their house on the corner of 2nd and Rodney Street, 1 block west of Broome Street. On the Cooper sisters' porch was a big blue cooler stocked with cold drinks. The cooler stayed on the porch all summer and was open to everyone in the neighborhood. As was always the case on warm evenings, young men congregated on the corner across the street. Eventually, one or two of the young men began to saunter across the street to dip in the cooler. As each of them did, one of the Cooper sisters would have a little talk with the young man. "Yes, ma'am," was the enthusiastic reply. The next morning, a taxi was headed west on 4th Street. The taxi reached the top of the hill and crossed Broome Street. Suddenly, out of nowhere, the taxi was bombarded with bricks and bottles. Before it could make it to the next corner, a garbage can was rolled in front of the taxi, forcing the driver to slam on brakes. Then 3 young men with baseball bats came up and smashed out all the windows, the headlights, and the taillights. They also pounded the body of the taxi, making it a literal wreck. The driver was left unharmed. Throughout the day, the same thing happened on 2nd and Broome, 5th and Broome, 8th and Broome. These were all streets going west. No drivers were hurt, but no taxi could make it past Broome Street. The Cooper sisters had drawn the line. By the end of the second day, the drivers refused to go anywhere near Broome Street. On the afternoon of the third day, the manager from the taxi company with cops in tow came to the Cooper sisters' house. As usual, the sisters were sitting on the front porch. When the cops got out of the car, they immediately recognized Dorothy and Janet Cooper. They both tipped their hats and bowed their heads in silent, respectful salutation. The Cooper sisters smiled. The taxi manager noticed this, but couldn't quite formulate the question in his own mind. Why were these 2 white cops treating these old black women with such respect? The taxi manager started up the steps. One of the cops put his arm in the way and stopped him. "What do you want us to do?" asked the cop. "I want you to lock these 2 up," snapped the taxi manager. "For what?" "For wrecking my taxis," the manager exclaimed. "Can you prove that, sir?" asked the cop. "They told me no taxis would be allowed on the Hilltop, and they said they were going to wreck my taxis. They said it right in my office. Now lock their black asses up," bellowed the frustrated manager. "Calm down, sir," replied the cop. He turned to the Cooper sisters. "Miss Dorothy, are you responsible for the wrecked taxis?" he asked respectfully. "Honey, I'm over 60 years old," the older Cooper sister replied sweetly. "She's full of crap," the taxi manager snarled. "Shut up," yelled the cop. The cop then turned his full attention to the taxi manager. "Listen, if we try to lock these ladies up, those guys across the street on the corner are going to be a real problem. What's more, if we do lock them up, you may as well close down. You won't be able to put a taxi on the street anywhere in the whole city. My advice to you, sir, is that you reach some accommodation with these ladies." With that, the cops bid the Cooper sisters a good afternoon and admonished them to behave. Waved to the brothers on the corner across the street, jumped in their police cruiser, and sped off. The taxi manager was dumbfounded. He stood there for a moment, looking around, not quite knowing what to do. His eyes rested on the young men across the street, and he could feel that "what you doing around here, white boy" vibe. He turned to the Cooper sisters, visibly shaken. "You're all right, fool, unless we say otherwise," stated Janet firmly. The taxi manager steadied himself. "Okay, what do I have to do to settle this?" "The first thing you have to do is fire that driver," answered Janet before he could finish asking. "That man has a family," pleaded the manager. "He should have thought of that before he called us the N-word," replied Janet. "And you should have thought of that before you brushed us off." The taxi manager hung his head. "That's not all," said Janet. His head snapped back up. "We want a written apology. We want you to do something nice for us so we know your apology is sincere. And we want to see more black drivers," demanded Janet. "We have black drivers," defended the taxi manager. "On day shift, where the money is," countered Janet. The taxi company manager could barely conceal his contempt. "You ladies are asking for a lot. It wasn't that big a... Well, y'all the ones messed up. You can do what we ask and fix this." Dorothy leaned forward and caught the taxi manager's attention. "Or you can go to hell. And another taxi company will have to service the city." After a little more back and forth, the taxi company manager acquiesced to the Cooper sisters' demand. They got their letter of apology. The driver was fired. More black drivers were placed on day shift. And for a month, the Cooper sisters had a taxi at their disposal, free of charge. Taxis once again served the city, including the Hilltop area, free of incident. I say the story was personal because Dorothy and Janet Cooper were Grandma and Aunt Janet to me. The Open Eye, WHGE 95.3 FM.
Not reflect the policy or position. WHGE 95.3 FM, or our sponsor, the Nsoromma's Vet. Any content provided by Open Eye hosts, guests, or contributors are theirs and are not intended to align any religion, ethnic group, company, or individual.
It's an electrical problem. WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. Yes, indeed. On the air, joining me as usual, my brother in consciousness, our intellectual surgeon, Nsoromma. Good morning, brother.
Chop, 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 chop.
Yes, indeed. How you
doing? Hello, world.
All right.
What it do?
All right. How you like that story about the Cooper sisters?
They my people.
Yeah, I heard that.
You know they got my last name.
Yes, it is.
So, yo.
Yeah, buddy.
Hey, we got to make them respect us more. When we stick together, it's a better outcome.
Yes,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes,
so that just tell you a lot that when we stick together, we can make change. Long as we in unity. And we don't have one going this way, one going that way, up and down.
Right.
You know, everybody's scrambling.
Right.
We can get things done. That just goes.
And I want to tell you, that's a true story. My grandmother and her sister, my Aunt Janet.
Yeah. You said Second and Rodney. That's where we live at and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's where I grew up at. Second and Rodney.
Yeah.
And they desegregated the taxi service.
Yeah, we was on Conrad Street. Second and Conrad.
I heard that right down the street.
Right down the street.
Yeah. And I think I was about 12 years old when that happened. And I was a witness to the whole thing. Because of course I was sitting there on the porch with Grandma and Aunt Janet as usual.
Right.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's something else. The NAACP. Well, let me start here where we need to start, I guess.
Right.
San Francisco. Okay. San Francisco came up with a reparations plan.
Yeah, I seen that.
Yeah, and their plan is really something else. Let me see here.
Yeah, but it's only a plan. Do you know anybody that got any benefits, anything?
Not yet, but this is what they had in mind to do. This is the plan they had.
Until it happened, man, I don't believe nothing they say.
Well, let me tell you something.
I'm with the.
I say like this, they had a plan where they had specific goals in mind.
Right.
Okay? Specific things that they are going to do. And that's more than, any other plan that's come up. Where, they had a plan to do research, and they had a plan,
right,
to have a talk about. No, San Francisco had a plan that they were going to put in order. San Francisco's proposal was for $5 million reparations payments
per person,
per African American who can show that their ancestry dates back to slavery. $5 million.
Now, that's the catch.
No, it's not a catch.
That's the catch.
No.
How can you prove your ancestors was enslaved?
You can.
Okay.
You absolutely can.
But that's what we need to give them, the information on how to prove that you can get that $5 million.
Yes. Because actually, it's not really that hard to prove that.
Okay.
That your ancestry goes back to before 1865.
All right.
Okay. Actually, that's because I can trace my ancestry back at least to my great-grandfather and great-grandmother, and I can trace my great-grandmother's ancestry back to her parents and grandparents.
So that's 3 generations back.
Well, actually, no, let's see. Mom, grandma, great-grandma, great-great-grandma, 5 generations back. I can trace it 5 generations back. Yeah. And on my father's side, one of my cousins have traced it back at least to the early 1900s, right? And with my 80-year-old aunt's input on our ancestors, okay, they can trace it back further. So on both sides of my family, and there's a lot of us that can actually do that.
So if you got any white blood in your system from being your greats being raped, does that still? Are you still considered?
Yes. Yes, most definitely. And what they said was, we strongly believe that creating and funding programs that can. Well, wait, that's not what they said.
What they say, bro.
Okay,
wow.
let me straighten that out. Let me straighten that out because there was some coonery going on.
Oh, man, ain't that always the case?
Ain't it?
All right.
Ain't it? Yeah. The coonery going on, some European shenanigans.
Oh, I thought you was going all the way over to the. But anyway,
the NAACP.
Oh man,
the national
white now, they ain't even black, man.
The National Association for the Advancement of Certain People.
Okay.
Yeah. They reject the plan.
Oh man,
yeah.
It's always.
Their vice president, okay, of the San Francisco branch, Amos Brown, Reverend Amos Brown, chicken foot son of a.
And that always be the case, man.
Yeah.
They always find somebody, give them 1.2 million, just be on our team, and they go, okay, master. That's crazy, man.
Well, the San Francisco NAACP called upon the Board of Supervisors of San Francisco to reject a one-time $5 million reparation payment to blacks, but instead called upon the city to make investments in 5 key areas to atone for a history of racism, discrimination, and mistreatment. Reverend Amos said that the Board of Supervisors, which was holding a hearing that day at 3 o'clock, okay, they should redirect its focus on providing 5 key elements as part of reparations: education, jobs, housing, healthcare, and a cultural center for blacks in Mississippi.
That's supposed to be done anyway, just period.
Yeah.
That's something that they left out, the boys clubs, girls clubs. I mean, they took all of that out of this. Why did they take it out from the beginning anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was already in place. So,
And he said, we strongly believe that creating and funding programs that can improve the lives of those who have been impacted by racism and discrimination is the best path forward toward equality and justice.
Man, give me my $5 million, man.
Cut
what
the
you talking
check.
about, man?
Cut the check. Now, let's look at his his
record.
His 5 steps that should be taken.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's take a look. He said, invest in education. Black students don't perform as well as their peers. We need remedial programs to help our children with reading, math, and science. The school district and the city have a moral obligation to raise up all children, and especially those families that have been disadvantaged by discrimination.
And you know, we may be the slowest to receive the information, to get the information, but once we get it in our hand, we've learned faster than all of it. Our learning process is faster than in any of them.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why they don't like giving us the information in the books and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I remember when I was in the 6th grade, and I never forgot this, okay? First day of school, I was put in this class, you know, that was predominantly black, and it had a black teacher.
Right.
Okay, and he was kind of a stern dude and this, that, and the other.
Okay.
Okay, and his reputation was that he was, you know, turning out great students, and he was like one of the best teachers in school.
Okay, yeah.
He dealt with the really advanced students and what have you.
Right.
Well, he was also, how can I say, he was also infected with colorism.
Infected with colorism.
And now I was too dark
and you was
to
too
be in
dark.
his class. And what's more, he didn't think I was too bright.
Wow, just from your skin tone.
Just from my skin tone.
And that's what get them. That's what get them all the time. You know.
So he had me moved to what they called we called it an IP class at the time.
Oh yeah, we used to tease people so much. I was in about 3 IP classes. Yeah. I ain't got no problem with it.
Know?
But
well,
I got put out.
Did you? Yeah, okay. Well, this class actually was what they called an open class. Okay?
Right.
And what they did was they dealt with students based on where they were
and their level of education.
Okay. So when I was put in this class, I was given assignments that actually challenged me. What? Okay. And I did so well in this class that by the middle of the school year, I was in the 6th grade. They figured, look, let's just move him on to the 8th grade, to the 7th or 8th grade.
Right.
You know, he's that.
So you was one of them skippies, huh?
I was one of them skippies. You know, my mom wouldn't have it though.
Skippy.
Yeah,
I know, because she ain't want you to be cheated.
Right. Yeah. So she didn't have it. You know? Okay. All right. So when we invest in education, in the way that Reverend Amos is talking about, okay, what he's actually talking about is putting our black students in a position where they're actually hampered. Don't get it mixed.
They actually what?
They're actually hampered.
Hampered?
Yeah, where they're actually tamped down. Okay, and what happens where you have these remedial programs.
Right.
Okay,
but you might be advanced.
Yeah,
and they putting you in a remedial.
And
that's what they do. You know what I'm saying?
And what happens with that is now you've been tagged as being maybe slightly slow. Okay, and you don't actually get lessons; you get pushed through.
Right.
Okay.
They just sign on off.
Yeah. So that's one part of showing his Negropeanism. Okay. His second point was economic empowerment. With President Biden's infrastructure bill, we want to see more black people get the opportunity to get jobs on the billions of dollars in infrastructure work that will be done in our community, in our state. Now, let's take a look at that. Jobs. He didn't say businesses.
Right.
He didn't say getting business from this. And that will be the economic empowerment.
Right.
He said jobs. So who you want to be working for? You're going to be working for some white company that's going to get the reparation money that should have went in your goddamn pocket. Ooh, get the hell out of here.
And that's how they do it. It's designed to make it seem like they doing good, but yet I'm going to stuff this money in your pocket, Pat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you get 4 or 5 black people and hire them and pay them $5 a minimum wage, and you can keep the rest of the money. Matter of fact, I need a cut.
Yeah.
I need to cut out of that. And that's the way. That's all them politicians do. That's their method. That's their motto.
Right.
That's their mode.
How in the hell does that empower black people?
It don't. Exactly.
It don't.
Give me the cash.
Cut the check.
Cut the check. And you know what I'm saying? And
Another thing about what San Francisco's plan is. They want to give $97,000 a year to all the black people that they already gave $5 million a year. Okay.
Say that again. They want to give $97,000
a year to all the black people that qualify
for the
reparation. Yeah.
I mean, they should pay us forever. Every black person.
Yeah. They said for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Let's look at the third point here. Housing. Okay? Let me tell you something about housing. Buying a house is building economic and generational wealth. It's building generational wealth.
Right.
Owning a house is you can borrow against that house, open a business, or send your kid to college, and if something happens to you or when you pass on, you can pass that property on and that generational wealth on to your descendants. Okay? What Reverend Amos says, we want more housing, more public housing, more affordable housing for blacks.
Right. They won't put you in a project.
Exactly.
You know.
Exactly.
And you don't own the project, because if we go to war, they can come and take over your house and sit in your house.
That's right.
For whatever the situation is. That's right. And that's how they manipulate us throughout the whole thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Now, the thing about San Francisco is, here he tells the truth.
Right.
He says there should be preferential treatment for blacks to keep our people in the city. San Francisco has fallen from 16% black population to less than 5%.
In the city.
In the city.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they priced them out.
Right, and they pushed them out.
Yeah. Not only with the prices, but with the pressure, low or no employment, and the pressure of police brutality.
Right.
All right.
And they the main two things that can push you out.
Right. And he also said, through discrimination and as even wholesale removal through urban renewal programs in the 1960s and 70s. All right. Now, to move on. Healthcare. Blacks don't have the same lifespan as the majority population. We need programming that positively impacts our health, our longevity, and our mental health. Okay? What he's talking about is putting more money into the dominant society's healthcare companies and what have you. All right? Once again, that's nothing for black people.
Right. It's always put in the hands of another corporation, your money. Now, and
yeah. Now, the redevelopment agency, he says the fifth point is the Fillmore Heritage Center. The redevelopment agency destroyed a great deal of the Harlem of the West when it instituted urban renewal programs that drove black businesses and residents out of San Francisco. Our people need a black center of town. Just as there is a Japanese, a Chinese, we need to preserve and protect the Fillmore Heritage Center and the surrounding blacks, not only as a historical center for our people, but a place to gather and grow the black community for our future generations.
Right.
So what happens there is you bring in construction companies and renewal companies to fix these properties up. And who owns those companies?
Again.
White people.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, when he got called on this, Reverend Amos Brown, Reverend Amos Chicken Wing Brown, yeah.
I had the mini beeps going on.
I heard that. Well, he kind of backed up a little bit and said, well, maybe we need. See, my thing is this. Well, $5 million was an arbitrary amount, and we need more than $5 million. Okay, how much? Because what you're saying is we just need more. That's arbitrary. You're not saying an exact amount. You're just saying an arbitrary, and you're only saying that because your handkerchief here,
They had jumped on.
yeah, you got jumped.
Yeah. I mean, they always try to go retract with their statement, and but yet you really feel like that anyway.
Yeah.
Then that's how do these kind of people get in position? Through money.
Yeah.
They're being paid to talk like that.
That's what
that's what we have to. We have to attack these kind of people.
Yeah.
And let them know that we don't want you in office. We want somebody that's going to represent the people.
That's what we want.
And they very, very seldom represent the people.
Oh, hardly ever. Hardly ever represent the people.
Yeah.
And, he represent, and he reminds me, see what his problem is, if black people,
Right.
get economic parity or economic advancement,
Right.
there's no need for him.
And the thing about it, now, none of these politicians put you down with the real.
No.
And none of them tell you, okay, go get you some health insurance, $1 million worth of coverage or something, and that way, if these police beat you up and kill you or do any kind of thing that happened to you that's unexpected in death, your family getting that $1 million.
Not only that,
they don't.
There's something deeper in there today. It is. Okay? And here it is. When you say, go get you $1 million worth of insurance,
right?
Let me tell you something about insurance companies. They don't like to pay. Okay? But when they do, all right, they're going to find out why they pay. Right. And insurance companies got a hell of an army of lawyers.
Right.
That's going to go after who killed you.
Who murdered you.
That's right.
And we as black people, we don't take on, we'd rather go get that SETI for the $100.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of getting $1 million worth of coverage for $150. You feel what I'm saying? And we'll go 30 and 40 years without no type of insurance coverage, no anything.
Right.
And
some
of us are 60 and 70 and don't have this.
Right. And it's because we are not economically educated. Okay? Which is another part of what we need to do in our community.
Definitely.
We need to economically educate and understand the importance of having insurance. Not just for to pay the bills for your burial or your funeral or whatever, okay? But to help create generational wealth.
Of course. And they take that off the table. They don't even put that on the table for our people.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And that's one of the main ingredients to success.
Yes, it is.
Them white people they didn't get rich on the strength of them being smart. No. They got rich on the strength of somebody dying in their family and the generational money
and
being
more than
passed
that,
down.
But they got rich on the strength of support from the U.S. government. And that support was definitely denied to Africans in America.
And still being denied.
WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye.
That's Mr. Pat. Mr. Pat is getting ready. I can see it happening.
WHGE 95.3 FM, the Open Eye. One of the things that I do when I welcome Nsoromma to the air is I call him my brother in consciousness. Okay? And I bring that up. I'm sure a lot of people saw what happened this week with conservative author Bethany Mandel. Okay? Bethany Mandel went viral because she couldn't define woke. Okay, Nsoromma.
Yeah.
Do you know what woke means? It's a term that's being used all over and this, that, and the other. And it's really a simple definition.
Yeah, I mean, you woke to the oppression that's being put on you, and all the things that you know affect you that don't affect others, and you waking up to the fact that society has got us stigmatized as the bottom feeders, and you're waking up from being a bottom feeder to realizing who's got their foot on your neck.
Well, you know, like I said, well, it's really a real easy definition. Okay, it just means that you're conscious to what's going on.
Definitely.
Okay, but conservatives, what they are doing with or trying to do with the word woke, they take our words and try to redefine them to fit their agenda. Okay,
right,
and they're saying that, you know, woke is a dangerous thing and this, that. Well, of course
it is to them.
Yeah,
right?
to them. Yeah,
I don't want you woke.
No, hell no. I don't want you woke.
Right.
They even outlaw
woke.
Yeah, in Florida, they even try to outlaw being woke. Okay, which is, you know, part of their agenda, keeping you dumb.
And guess what? And you know, a lot of people is waking up from the information out there that they have access to. Okay, and TikTok.
Speaking your mind.
And TikTok, yeah, they hear me. And TikTok is the main corporate of getting that information out.
Yes.
And they don't have
social media overall.
No, but TikTok. Understand this. TikTok is not controlled by any United States company.
No. Which is why they want to outlaw it. But I don't want to get too deep on that. Okay, because I want to tell you about the conservative and their inability, specifically Bethany Mandel. Okay. Conservative author Bethany Mandel, who has actually written books on wokeism. Okay, she was on this show just Tuesday discussing her book Stolen Youth, which accuses liberals of targeting children with woke indoctrination. So I mean, woke is so you know, she was asked, what is it? So I mean, woke is sort of the ideal that well, Mandel began after Hill Rising's host asked her to define the term. The author added after a pause, oh boy, this is going to be one of those moments that go viral. Yeah, it sure is with your dumb ass. Well, she said, well, woke is something that's very hard to define. Didn't I just tell y'all it was a really easy definition? She said, and we spent an entire chapter defining it. So she got a whole chapter in her book defining what woke is, but she can't sit up there and say it. So what she said was, it's sort of the understanding that we need to totally reimagine and redo society in order to create hierarchies of oppression. Have you lost your damn mind? That's the dumbest ish I ever heard. Yeah, and that's what she came up with.
And you know why she said that? She got a check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She got one of those checks. You
That's
understand?
what she did.
And that's what you call a public enemy sellout.
Well, yeah. Well, of course, she's a white woman.
It don't matter.
And like you
come
said,
in every color.
She's a sellout.
Yeah, of course.
Because she sells out her own gender. Okay, so in case you wonder. All right. Now, here's something interesting. Okay.
What's that?
A lot of people think I'm Muslim.
I mean,
and they think I'm Muslim because their ideal of someone woke or conscious, they think that Islam is the hip, militant, conscious thing to be. Okay, and that dates back to the 60s and 70s. Right. First, let me run this by you.
Okay.
This is from brother Vincent Oliver, and he calls himself Curtis Oliver right now because he gets put in Facebook jail so much. Okay. He said, calling God, the universe, the source, the self, me, you, call it a flower. What matters is this. It is everything, and it sees through all things. It is birthless, deathless, fearless, desireless. It is the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of all reality. It is the dreamer in the dream. Most importantly, it's you. Call it God. You should.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but
And back to the woke, right?
okay.
Now, for us to be really woke and really understand how to become woke, we have to start from the history of what has been done to us for us to wake up. So they want to take our history out of out of play. Okay,
yeah.
So you won't even know what has been done to you
Right.
for you to wake up from. You know what I'm saying?
That's
This is the internal structure that they hit us with, and do it in such a sneaky way because they move in sneakiness.
Yeah.
You know.
And let me tell you the effects of that. Okay. Okay. I'm sure most black people and a whole lot of white people watch
Definitely.
Good Times.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was my show.
Right.
You know, I
but
thought
it was a
the
show
James-
that showed morals and everything. Yeah. You know, that was a
and
good
it showed
show.
us where we were at. Okay. And of course, James Evans, reminded me of my own father, in
Right.
my opinion.
Mostly everybody.
Yeah, James Evans was the best black father on TV.
What Bill
Hands down.
Cosby?
Nah, I gotta give it to James.
Yeah, I give it
Yeah.
to James because James is real closer to my family.
Right, and he was closer to the reality.
The reality of you know what I'm saying?
You never saw Bill Cosby threaten to whoop anybody, any of his kids.
Right.
Oh, James would give you a whooping.
'Cause you needed that.
Because you needed it.
Especially his kids.
Let me tell you something. It makes me think of my boy Vaughn. I know you on there. Vaughn
What up,
told me,
Vaughn?
Yep, he think he might have had 2 whippings in his whole life.
What? He was good.
Yeah,
I had about 7,000.
I had 2 whippings before noon, baby. You can believe that because I was fighting up.
Oh.
All right? Now, I brought up Good Times
I had a dog
because
with my name on it.
I heard that. I brought up Good Times because there was an episode of Good Times,
Right.
where JJ painted Black Jesus.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Hey, Florida wasn't having it. She said, this white Jesus was the Jesus that I know. Okay. All right. Now, about 4 or 5 years before that happened, this will tell you how deeply indoctrinated our people were at the time. And this will give you an idea why the understanding of why a lot of us thought at that time that being Muslim was the hip militant thing to do.
Right.
In March of 1969, Ebony magazine was nearly put out of business. You know why? They published the issue of Ebony magazine with a black Jesus on the cover. And so many in the black community were upset to the point of threatening to cancel their subscription.
Now, listen to that. Yes, listen to that.
Let me say it again for them. So many in the black community were so upset that Ebony put a black Jesus on the cover of the magazine. They threatened to cancel their subscription and almost put Ebony out of business.
Now, where do you think that comes from? That comes from the indoctrination of us from, what James say, 5 years old in school. To believe that white guy on the wall right there is our savior.
Right.
Now, my question is, how many white people do you see worshiping a black Jesus? I can tell you, not one. Okay? Not one.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and knowing that, why are you, as a colored person, praising this guy?
Right. That's what
That hung your mom, hung your grandma, the drug, all these other, the worstest things in history that you can think of to a people.
Right. And let me tell you something. What I did this week. Okay. I put 2 statements.
Okay.
On Facebook.
I think I saw them too.
Yeah.
Okay.
You cannot be Christian and 100% African. Now, I got no responses to that other than people liking on it. But there were no comments to that.
But you don't get, when you talking truth, Pat, and when you talking real, there's nothing that can be said.
Yeah. Well, I think that a lot of my Christian Facebook friends have learned not to challenge me.
Oh, surprisingly, they ain't counseling me. I ain't even being your friend no more. You get me in trouble. You know? And that's,
so, of course, like I said, now a lot of people think that, you know, being Muslim is the hip, militant, black thing to do.
Right.
Well, I put on there, you can't be Muslim and 100% African. Oh, I got some responses to that.
Right.
And I'm going to give you some of those responses.
Okay.
Sister Tracy, you in here? Because you was part of
Yeah,
it.
she just popped in there. Wow,
Okay.
Tracy.
Okay. All right. You cannot be Muslim and 100% African. I got responses.
Okay.
One response, and I'm not going to name the brother, okay? He said, sounds a little bogus, bro. Even in the traditional sense of being a Muslim, you are saying 45% of Africans are not African? In the divine meaning of Muslim, which comes straight out of the Quran, Muhammad, who was descended from an African, it says anyone who ascertains that there is but one creator is a Muslim, thus making the majority of Africans, with all their diversity in religions, who all believe in Akhenaten's concept of one supreme deity, Muslim. So all so-called Africa, and what then, if not submitters, who recognize one creator above all other lesser minor deities. I mean, you know, let me break something down here.
Yeah,
Unpack something here, because what he said was that it dates back to all believe in Akhenaten's concept of one supreme deity. Akhenaten, who was Tutankhamun's father,
Right.
Okay, is considered the founder of monotheism, meaning the belief in one God. Okay, let me tell you what I said to him. Okay, he said this sounds a little bogus. It's not nearly as bogus as alluding that Akhenaten is a Muslim, which is an AD religion. Akhenaten lived thousands of years before Islam was founded. So you want to claim that Akhenaten was the first Muslim. Not so. And and I told him it reminds me of the Moorish Science Temple claiming that the crown of Upper Egypt is a fez. That's ridiculous. Okay. Well, he came back. Oh, wait a minute. No, I went on to say all the Abrahamic religions, meaning the religions that came out of Abraham in the Bible, the Torah, and the Quran, demonize Africa. That should be enough right there. But let's keep it real. Most Muslims of African descent are really culturally Arab, like Christians are culturally European. Ask any, and they will tell you they are Muslim or Christian before they are African.
Now, what is the African religion? What is the African belief?
The African belief,
Who is the African God?
Okay, there's not one African belief, one African God, because there are many African cultures.
And now you where I needed you to be. Now, okay, you and I have the right to write our own religious book.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so all of these books that's in play right now is just people's opinions.
That's
from
as
this
actual
from this what years that the before Muslim.
Well, let me explain something to you about African spirituality. Okay, because the quote unquote religions are something that are imposed on African people. Okay, as opposed to the spiritualities that come from Africa. Okay?
Because we don't know our real language, right? To be able to talk the way that to get our.
Well, here's what we do know. Okay, is that spirituality and the relationship and understanding of the Creator,
right,
starts in ancient Kemet. Okay, it starts in ancient Kemet, and what happened was all these outsiders came in. They learned from the ancient African, and they corrupted what they learned. Okay, it's so deep. It's like this. Imagine that you were the owner of a vineyard,
right,
and you were an expert at growing grapes,
right.
Okay, and then someone comes along from outside of your community, and you sell them the grapes.
Right.
Okay. And they take those grapes and they make watered down wine and then come sell it back to you as authentic, and you buy it, drink it, get drunk on that watered down wine.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Get drunk on that watered down wine, and then not paying attention to what's going on behind accepting that watered down wine or that watered down spirituality.
Right.
Allow these people to come in and take what's yours.
Take over your vineyard.
Take over your vineyard.
Right.
And that's
get you so drunk that you just go ahead. You can have it.
Well, of course,
yeah, right.
this person replied, and they said, let's be clear. African began Islam with Akhenaten. There he goes again. With Akhenaten, the world's first one God concept. All other so-called religions came from that, including Christianity. Muhammad of Arabia got the concept from his African ancestors. We're going to deal with that. Plus, his companion turned religious teacher Bilal, which a lot of Muslims point to as the Africanness of Islam. Okay, schooled him in Christianity and the Torah. He's saying that, bro, I got it backwards according to documented history. And he said, let's deal with facts some more. Yes, I can see how anyone can come to that conclusion if they don't know what Islam is, never been to Africa, or going on what they see among the Muslims in America. 90% of American Muslims learn Islam from Arabs. The majority of Arabs teach Arabism, not pure Islam. And they got all who accept their blasphemous version of the culture to worship Muhammad of Arabia instead of the one God concept. Plus, they push their desert culture on the unlearned too. What do you write about that? So some Muslims are, in fact, as I said, colonized Arabs. That ain't Islam. The majority of so-called black Muslims in America, not the NOI, have no real clue about Islam. But they can tell you or show you Arab culture. And that's so. And this is what Sister Tracy said. Sister Tracy said, Africans were introduced to Islam by Arabs, period. Right? Full stop. Likewise, Christianity was introduced through colonization, because the Arabs are colonizers just as well as the Europeans. The decolonization of one's mind includes not adhering to the Abrahamic religions that were forced upon us through colonization, violence, and conquest. The decolonization of one's mind would dictate learning of our spiritual systems prior to colonization. The issue is, this is the difficult task. We have been conditioned for centuries to think that being our African true selves, which entails knowing African spiritual sciences, is somehow evil or primitive. The work of decolonization is hard but necessary.
Because they don't want you to know.
That's right.
You know?
That's
and my
right.
thing is, I was looking at this show, right? And the guy on there, and it got so deep, it got as deep as, so deep that it was to talking about God, right? And this one guy, he was like, he broke it down like this, and I kind of understood this. He's like, it's really only one creator, and boom, and it was a white guy, of course. He was like, well, if it's only one creator, he said something in the effect where, then how he make me better than you? You know what I'm saying? Because he was a Caucasian. How he make me better than you? And the dude with this answer said, you're not better than me.
Of course not.
You know what I'm saying? He said, in fact, you only believe what you don't know. You understand?
Right.
You only can believe what you don't know. And know what you know. And he broke it down like this. He said, you believe in God, in these spiritualities, and all these religions. That's something you believe in.
You don't know.
You don't know. He said you know your mother, your father, you know, and your brother. You know what you know. And then he went on to say, okay, if you and I were to open our minds, what color is your mind, brother? Is your mind green, blue, black? No one knows that.
Mm-hmm.
So when I cut you,
Mm-hmm.
what color is your blood?
Mm-hmm. It's red. Okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're all connected in the main sources of genetics, that if this cut make me bleed red and the cut make you bleed red, what's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
And the difference is the indoctrination of the person teaching that other specimen or their kids the doctrination of hate.
Okay.
And that hate creates that argument of
that we're different, or that other people
we're
are
different,
better.
and y'all better.
Right.
And
I understand where that goes and what have you.
Yeah.
Okay. But always remember now, and understand. You say you cut and you bleed. You cut a monkey and the monkey's blood is
right,
red.
it's all under one.
You cut a Neanderthal. That Cro-Magnon blood is still red. We are different. They are not us. I always contend that. But I want to get back to this. Okay. One of the things that I said, and I quoted Sister Tracy, Africans were introduced to Islam by Arabs. Now, I also dealt with what the brother was saying about Akhenaten, okay, the ancient pharaoh, okay. Look, applying 7th century terminology to a spiritual political event that happened 1,000 years prior to ancient Egypt is wordplay. Claiming that Akhenaten began Islam because he began the one God concept is fallacious reasoning at worst. By this logic, one could claim Akhenaten began Judaism as it was monotheism. As we know, the Abrahamic religion stole and corrupted their spiritual system from Kemet. One could come to the wrong conclusion if they don't know Islam. What is Islam? That's what the brother said. One can come to the wrong conclusion if they don't know Islam. What is Islam? Islam is the Arab tool of imperialism. Just like Christianity is the tool of imperialism for Europeans. Islam did not spread in Africa by the quality of its truth, but by the quantity of its violence. The spread of Islam in West Africa between 639 and 708 AD,
right,
Arab Muslims conquered North Africa. Islam first reached Ghana through Muslim traders and missionaries. Does that sound familiar?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Many Muslim merchants and traders settled in Kumbi, the great marketplace of Ghana. In the 11th century, Muslims from the north, called Almoravids, waged jihad, holy war, by the quantity of their violence in West Africa.
They were the first ones that built in slavery anyway.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
And they gonna pump their religion on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Dipping the mythology in chocolate does not make it real for Africans. Since the inception of the Arab slave trade in Africa, which we just alluded to, it was common practice for elite Arab males to be assigned an African slave or companion of the same age. Often these companions rose in power beside their Ikhwan or Arab brother. Thus, Bilal, who a lot of black Muslims point to say the Africanness of Islam. Bilal, who was Muhammad's companion, was likely a slave. By the quantity of their violence, it is not the hip militant thing to be a Muslim. Okay, something my mother hit me to. And when talking about what religion, I asked my mother one time, I said, with all your knowledge on spirituality and religion, why you go to church? Why you're a Christian? She gave me a very interesting answer. She said, by what mythology you come to God is up to you. By what mythology you come to God. A myth is something that you don't know to be true. It's a myth.
Right.
Okay? And that's how she related it to me. It was more of a...
no matter what myth you take to get to the Creator, as long as you get to Him...
And you understand. Right.
That you are the creator of what it is that you need in your life and in your essence You know what I'm saying?
That's what
you can change. You got the creation to be able to change a person's feelings. You can get up and go, I want to make everybody mad, and go out there and start doing things to just piss people off. You know, or you can get up and go, yo, you know what? I want to be that guy today and bless people.
That's right.
And go out there and bless people with blessings. So I mean,
and you know what? I'll tell you something. It's interesting and disturbing how our people will accept a particular dogma or understanding and defend it
to the power there,
even to the point of violence.
Definitely.
Even when presented with new information.
Right.
And this is across the board, Christian, Muslim, Moor, and the conscious community.
Right.
I've seen people actually threaten bodily harm. Damn, y'all forgot the mission.
Right. And
The
that's
hell?
and having all of these different religions that don't do nothing but create chaos.
That's all.
And that's what
all.
America's built on.
Yeah.
So they definitely running with that. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know, and I know some of y'all are saying, boy, you was hard on Islam. Why ain't you so hard on Christianity? Then you haven't been paying attention to the open eye. But I'm going to give you something, especially since the Christians didn't respond, you know, so there was no debate there.
Right.
Well, Christianity has been the major religion of the Western world for 2,000 years. Yet the Western world has been the cause of all the worst man-induced catastrophes in the world. And with such a diabolical history,
Right.
it would be the height of foolishness for African people to continue to adhere to and believe in the doctrine that is the major tool of the subjugation of our people used by global white supremacy right now.
Right.
Amen. Let me tell you something. What a lot of people don't understand about the Creator. The Creator never says no. If you want to be a murderous asshole, the Creator going to let you go here and do that. But remember, there's karma.
Right. And
You wanna be-
consequences.
and consequences. You want to be a thief and a liar, remember, there's karma.
And consequences.
That's word. If you're going to ask from ego and from greed and what have you, your Creator is not going to say no to you.
Nope.
Okay? The thing is, you don't know what or how to ask. You don't know what to ask for and how to ask. All right? I'll give you a little pointer. All right? I asked for the wisdom of my ancestors. Okay? I asked for the peace that I know that is within me and that I can pass that peace on to others. But don't get it mixed. I'll beat your ass.
Ooh. And what people fail to realize is they always look at God as God is good, God is great, God. He's a murderer.
And the Christian,
He's
you look
the
at the
number
God of
one
the Abrahamic
killer.
faith.
You understand?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a yin and a yang to even God. It's what side do you want to be on?
That's right. It's your concept of God.
Yeah.
And your misunderstanding of what the Creator is.
Yeah.
And where the Creator is. Okay?
Wow.
Because even Jesus said, you know, what you're looking for God, look within.
Right.
That's where it's at.
Right.
That's
That
where
fire lies within your molecules.
it's at. That's what it
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what it This is the open eye, and as we always tell you, destiny determines who enters your life, but you decide who stays. Therefore, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority.
Who treat you as an option.
I'm Patrice Gibbs,
Nsoromma.
WHGE
95.3.
The Open Eye.
Yaga! Hey, Vaughn, you 55 minutes late? What do you mean? Thank you for coming anyway, bro. I'm glad you got it. You know what I'm saying? Tracy, what's good? Celestia, Jeremy, Macy, yo, Kiana. I'm on Yaga. Hey, yo,
I'm on Yaga
tune in
Street.
next week, my man. You know what I'm saying?
Better.
You know what it is.
Big
Thomas Thomas
DZ,
getting ready to come up.
Thomas, and guess what? Northside for life with me.
True that.
Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell another friend to tune in. We going turkey ham.
In like that.
What's up, brother?
You?
All right. Hey, thanks for joining us. Like I always tell you, global African supremacy. I'm gonna break that down for y'all one of these days so that you understand that this is not just a racist thing that I'm telling you, because the world was a better place when the African ruled. Don't forget that. Peace.
Streaming all platforms. Go get that. You did.
Hey,